Itaola, Soccerbeat lovers, is your boy Lebohang Mokwena, cheese boy, the real cheese cheddar, the real mozzarella bafethu. Welcome to the Mozzarella's Corner. This is where I get all the superstars. This is where I get all the legends, the masters, people who've done it, people who've seen it all. But before I can introduce my guest today, I'd just like to ask you guys to please keep on subscribing. Please get us to that 50,000 mark. I think everything has been going so well this whole season. We're at the end of everything. League is done. But yeah, with football, there's always points to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. And today, I have a very, very special guest, a man who has seen it all, a man who has carried a lot of trophies, a lot of medals. I wonder if they fit in his cupboard, by the way. So yeah, none than Daine Klate Buffet to let's welcome Daine. Daine, welcome to the show, my brother.
My brother, the former owner of Charmant. How are you? Thanks for having me. Cheese boy, I see you guys. Hey man, I don't know if I'm gonna be serious with you guys because you guys you are funny man. I enjoy watching your content.
It's all about that, Daine. It's all about that. And sometimes, Daine, we also try and try and help these current new generation of players, Hence, I always try and get the guys that I've played with, guys that have been there, done it all, so that we can share some light. It's always good to share the experiences and make sure that these boys learn from it and become better, because once they get better, they improve our quality of football in South Africa. So yeah, big ups to you, Dane, for also playing your part in this country. I know a lot of people have never given you your flowers, my guy. I'm giving you your flowers, my man. Giving you your flowers now from Soccerbeat, my man. And the
No
other thing
thanks.
that people don't know, Dane, is that I actually met Dane when I was 15. We played at the under 17s together under Coach Bubi. I still have a picture of it. Hopefully, we'll get it up on the screen and the people can see how far we come from, and also having to play against Dane in the Bay Hill tournaments. So, as a youngster, it's very important that you go through these stages. I think me and Dane are development products, and I think that shows why we actually sustained ourselves in the top flight, and yeah, man, Dane, it's always a pleasure chatting to you, my man. You giving out secret codes here, calling people Sharman, man.
No, the former owner.
By the way, if you don't know Sharman, that was our code for the under 23s. Amat Luk. Those who are with us, they will understand what we're talking about. Dane, let's get into it, my brother, man. Look, what a season we've had. The first Betway Premiership league. I mean, new trophy was unveiled. We've seen teams perform well. We've seen teams drop in the latter stage of the season. We've seen a lot of youngsters come up. We've seen a lot of brilliant goals. So I just wanted to find out from you, which team has really impressed you this season? Obviously, Sundowns has won the league. I mean, they've been doing it for so many years. But other than that, which team has really impressed you this season?
Yeah, I think Luke Sekhukhune has done really well to put themselves where they are in the top five. Competing for that Confed Cup spot, third place. So they one of the teams, and again, Stellenbosch has had another fantastic season, following up the season they had last season. So that kind of consistency is, so if you look at the league and the type of clubs there is in the league, Stellenbosch has really come up. And we've lost Budvis Wits. I don't know about SuperSport. I'm not sure what's happening there. But if you lose clubs like that, and it's always heartwarming to see clubs like Stellenbosch coming up and doing well and taking development seriously. That's for me is the most important thing. If you go down to Stellenbosch and you see what they're doing and how they're doing it, and that's where we come from. Cheese development, being looked after, being invested in. We there was investment on us per player wherever we went through our development. And it's fantastic to see a team like Stellenbosch, and I'm very very you know impressed by what they're doing and how they're going about things, because development development is improving in the country, but not enough. So it's good to see them, playing their part. Unfortunately, Cape Town Spurs got relegated from the first division now, so Yeah, it tells you also a lot about what goes into these football clubs. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes, and if you don't do things the right way, then it's going to end up hurting the clubs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, true that, Dane. And something that we always preach, when we talk about development and trying to get the right players, get them ready for that high level, because sometimes you get players that are just there 1 season, 2 seasons because they were not well prepared, and they get in there and then they struggle and they stumble, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's a tough journey. Of course, as a youngster, it's a tough journey. You wanna get to your dreams. You wanna play for the team that you wanna play for. So with that being said, Dane, I've seen a lot of youngsters come up. I think the most spoken about is Rele Mofokeng. Your Nkotas, your Kozai at Sundowns. You got a you got a couple of youngsters that have come in, Selepe as well from Pirates, because I do a lot of talking Pirates, and I've seen that they've really given the youngsters a great opportunity in the first team, and like out of these youngsters, which ones have really stuck out for you? Like they really look like true season campaigners, even though it's their first or second season.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few players that came through, and I mean, the revelation at Pirates has been fantastic this season. Not only attackers, even defenders are coming through, even midfielders are coming through. So if you go to the list of the Pirates DDC graduates that obviously came from Coach Duku Duku, who's doing a fantastic job over there. He's so passionate about what he does, and himself coming through with us through the development ranks.
Yeah,
He was ahead of us, of course, but I
yeah,
mean, he also went through the steps that we went through, and it's good to see that he's able to put that back into the youngsters and helping them develop and growing, and becoming household names in the game. And the earlier the better. The game has moved on to be a lot more energetic. The modern game is it's all about energy and intensity, and so the youngsters are coming through with the energy and the intensity, and it's just about working hard and putting your head down, and those are the values that are instilled when they go through the development, and being taught different things, to play for different coaches, different tactics, different styles, but their talent is unbelievable. Rele's talent is unbelievable. I think at 20 years old, Rele reminds me of you, Cheese. You were nippy like him. When you get the ball, you knew already what to do with it before you even received it. You already know how you're gonna dribble, how you're gonna go pass, and that's the mark of an intelligent player. And it's good to see Nkota on the other side as well. So both sides, Pirates have always been, when Pirates have two strong players on the side, Pirates always does well. It's a club culture where stems back in the day already. Speedy
yeah.
on the side, nippy, tricky. And
Mhm.
those, it's nice to see those players. And then we also got the defender. What's the boy's
Mbokazi.
name? Yes, I mean
Yeah.
he's come in and he's looked like a seasoned professional, a
Oh,
seasoned campaigner, and it's good to see. There was a big gap between DDC and the PSL, but the gap is being reduced year in, year out. The more the DDC is there, everybody wanted the DDC to be a quick fix. It hasn't been a quick fix. Let's be honest. A couple of years ago, not as many players came through as now. And I think we found the formula to incorporate those players into the PSL. And it's good to see the clubs are all doing it. And I mean, every single club in the PSL at some point has obviously used one of the DDC players and giving them their debuts in the PSL. So yeah, it looks good. The junior national teams are doing well. Cheesy, we didn't win. We
yeah,
had fantastic teams, but we never ended up winning any of the Nations Cup or qualifying for the World Cup. And it's good to
yeah.
see that they're doing it. And it's good to see that it's happening for them. We all would have loved to go through development and qualify for all these tournaments, and the lessons they'll be learning on that level is second to none, and it can only be good for Bafana going forward.
Yeah, no, true that 100%. And because I also feel like in during our generation, I think we were really not taught the importance of these tournaments. We just went to play. If we qualify, we qualify. And we were really not really told much about it in terms of the opportunities that are out there when once you qualify, get into that World Cup. The Youth World Cups. The
Yes.
AFCON. Yes, we had a solid team, we had good teams, but I just feel like we never got enough information about how far we could go in these tournaments. So yeah, I'm glad that this generation now is really focused on that, and they're doing the country proud. And yeah, just on another one, Dane, as a former Orlando Pirates player, I'm fit. I know.
Yeah.
I know you have so many medals, Dane. I don't know. Just count them. Just count them for these boys to know how many. How many have you won, Dane? And also, like, I wanted to come to the question of like, why is it difficult for Pirates to actually challenge for the league?
Welcome aboard Air Mobile, the new way to mobile. Expect a seriously easy experience. We took what's wrong with mobile and made it right. We've ditched things like crazy fees, expensive contracts, and overall nonsense. Up here, the data stays fresher for longer. No more expiring after 1 month. Plus, with eSIM, you can connect in minutes. Refer a friend and you both get 5 gigabytes of mobile data. Visit airmobile.co.za to get connected. T's and C's apply.
Why is it difficult for Pirates to actually challenge for the league?
Cheese Sundowns have. I've won seven medals at Pirates.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, double treble, and we won the Nedbank Cup. So in the 4.5 years I was at Pirates, I got 7 medals, and to see the country that happy is
You don't have
unbelievable. The
space. This
country.
man doesn't have space in his cabinet.
No, no, I'll work on something. I'll work on something nice, and then one day I'll be able to put everything together, all the trophies that I won, make replicas of all of them, and just put them in a nice room for good memories. All that DSTV trophy I won at SuperSport, that
Yeah.
it looks like
Yes.
that rectangle, the rectangle trophy, and unfortunately I'm not around anymore. I see there's a Habli now there.
Hey, don't you start, my guy. Don't you start. That's a beautiful trophy done by Nelson Makamu. Let's not go there, Dane. Let's not go there.
No, it's on social media, man. They set themselves up for that Habli story. Anyway, yeah, no. Look, Sundowns have gone too far ahead. Cheese. Sundowns is way, way ahead, and but they're catching up. It takes a lot of time. Where Sundowns is today didn't happen overnight. When I was playing, Sundowns was. Remember, you were playing. You were at Sundowns at one stage,
Yeah.
and you saw the growth in Sundowns and
Mm.
what the vision was of the then Dr. Patrice Motsepe. Basically, he spearheaded it way back when he took over from the Chiklas family, and it took them about plus minus 10 years, 10 to 12 years to
Yeah.
get that machine going where they are today. When Kospitso
Yeah.
came in, he turned things around for the club. He really instilled values and disciplines and the way of doing things. The order, the discipline that he brought in there was really a revelation for Sundowns. And that's the mark of obviously, when a good coach instills something, he leaves. Pizzo left SuperSport United in a good space as well. When he left SuperSport to join Bafana, wherever he goes, he always leaves the place in a better space, and that's what he did with Sundowns. And whoever came in after that just enhanced it, and just moved with the times and just moved with the game, and the players as well that they bring in. They've got a clear profile of what type of player they want, in what position they want that player. They don't go out and just sign whoever is in the market. They don't go sign a player because he's doing well for another team. They sign that player because they want that player to come compete with whoever they have there, and they feel that player can maybe unseat the player in that position, and that brings about competition. And that's been the key of Sunderland's success, is the competition within the group and the way the club operates. Once you start winning, but at SuperSport you won the league 3 times in a row. Of course, the ambition of SuperSport after that was not to win the league anymore for whatever reasons, you know. But they started selling. I left. All the players that started until La4 went. Half of the team went to Sundowns. Some went to Pirates. Some went Morgan Gold. Went to Chiefs. So I think in that regard, Sundowns have really dominated, and it's difficult for Pirates to catch up. But I'm happy to see the progress Pirates have made. They came close this year. They can go back next year and take a look at where they went wrong this season. Which games were they supposed to win, and which games to keep them close to Sundowns. I think the most important thing is to get as close to Sundowns as possible. Don't even think of overtaking Sundowns yet. It's just about thinking about getting as close to Sundowns as possible. What? Look at what 72 points. So you're going to be competing against the 72 points. And when we played 60 points, won you the league. Pirates have got 60 points, 61 points. So 60 points back in the day used to win you the league, but not anymore. Sundowns have upped that standard to 70 to the 70-point mark. So I think extra 10 points is needed to compete with Sundowns for any team that wants to compete with Sundowns. The extra 10 points. Pirates needs extra 10 points. That's 3 wins and a draw. Basically, the games they drew, they should have turned it into wins here and there. They can go back and reflect on which games they gave about, because they only played Sundowns twice. If you do well against all the other teams, 14. If you play against the 14 other teams, there's lots of points available. You got to set yourself on that sides of saying, can we get 60, 60, 68 points from everybody else? And then, of course, Sundowns comes in, you get a win or a draw against Sundowns. You end up giving Sundowns a bit of stress about the league. But at the moment, it's a bit too easy. They're very, very comfortable. They're cruising. Even this year, they cruised. So it's just about putting pressure on Sundowns and making them come out. They've got a lot of experience on winning, so I think it's going to be very, very difficult for whoever's going to come up, especially for Pirates. To compete against them, it's going to take a lot to compete with them to get to their points tally every season.
I think you make a very, very valid point in that. Obviously winning the league is not easy. It's a marathon. Like you're saying, like Sundowns have upped it. Up to 72 to try and win the league. And also like they've got depth in the squad. And they compete in all these tournaments. And it was the first time for Orlando Pirates, but like you said, it did very, very well. But the thing that I'm hearing out there, Dane, is the Pirates fans feel like, you know what, we could have put Sundowns if we did not have the Saleng saga. And we try to step in as well and try to talk to the boy, as former players, because we've had players like that we've played with, Dane, and sometimes when players go off the rail, it just dampens their careers, it just dampens everything about them. And unfortunately the fans feel like if they still had Saleng, they would have probably maybe put Sundowns or even maybe went further in the Champions League or even won the Nedbank Cup. Not to saying the fans are blaming Saleng for it, because you can't blame one player. But it just goes to your point when you said at SuperSport, when you guys won the league with Kevin Hunt twice in a row, 3 times in a row with the likes of Klompo there, you had Bochenpoel there, you had all the quality guys. And all of a sudden you start losing these key players, that just dismantles the team. And I think maybe the fans are coming at that angle of, look, we lost Nda, we lost Saleng. Yes, they've not left the club, but with them not being part of the team, felt like they've just lost it. And what's your take, or maybe any advice you would give to a young boy like Saleng? He's also a left footer, but he doesn't have that left like yours, my guy. Hey, your left, my friend. It's a European left, my guy. The technique there. Hey guys, free kick specialist, Mamela. Hi. Hey, Dane. Okay, if you could share some knowledge for Saleng and Nkota, what would it be in terms so that they can improve their game as well?
Yeah, I think firstly when Saleng won the Player of the Season, there's a bit of a thing that went around. I also won the Player of the Season 2010. But like Lodge won it, for example, and then all of a sudden there was problems with Lodge. And then Saleng wins it, and all of a sudden there's problems with Saleng. Teko won it back in the day, and then there was problems with Teko. So everybody at Pirates that ends up winning the Player of the Season, there seems to be some sort of, going the wayside. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what the Saleng story is. I've never really done research, or I've never really asked a lot about the reason for it. But it's a simple, for me, it's a simple thing. When you're at a club like Orlando Pirates, it's you focus on what you control. There's certain things at Orlando Pirates that us as players we can't control. Team selection, what the coach decides, those type of things, that is completely out of our control. Who the club signs, that's out of our control. What we can control is our attitude when we go to training. When you go to training, you go with the right attitude. When you go into the match, you go with the right attitude. And those things are non-negotiable. Those two things need to, no matter what happens outside the four lines. When you get into that four lines, you got to have the right attitude and the right mentality. And then everything else will be taken care of on the outside. Everybody has problems in life, and everybody goes through problems in life. But I believed, and when I was coaching the boys at Diski, I had a problem with one or two players, and I know the family backgrounds and the areas they come from, and it's difficult to handle certain elements of things that we don't know about. But I always say to the boys that the four lines. Once you step into the four lines, whether it be training or whether it be a match, if your problems don't go away, because we play the game, we understood. Listen, if I go in that field there, whatever's bothering me on the outside, you know, it's secondary. It's secondary, that thing there. After the game, we'll take care of that. So I used to share it with him and say, look, if you get into the four lines and I can see that you're still not okay, it means you're not okay to come onto the field. Let's then sort out whatever we need to sort out and then come back into the field. But we don't need to take months and months and months to sort it out. It could have been a simple thing, but one also starts questioning who's advising Saleng, who's his advisor, who's busy telling him these things. Because how does this boy know how to behave like this, or whatever the case may be? He's obviously being influenced somewhere, somehow, and maybe that influence is not the right influence. And that can happen. That happens in football. I've seen boys that. I'm the coach at Chopper, for example. I'm saying one thing, but wherever they come from or wherever there's other people there that don't like me. Now, him not liking me ends up not benefiting the player. Where I have a good heart and I want to see the player progressing, he's busy putting things in the player's mind that the coach doesn't like you, this and that, and he's got favorites, and then those type of things tend to happen in football. But as a player, I'm hoping Saleng can come back next season and be strong again and just focus on football, and leave all the other things. I know Orlando Pirates, the club, if it's a money issue, there's a way to sort it out. If it's a family issue, there's a way to sort it out. Whatever the issue is, there's a solution to it. But I just think, for whatever reason, it's difficult to sort the issue out, and it's affecting the boy big time. And hopefully we get to see him back soon. But I don't think he's the reason why Pirates did not go all the way with Sundowns. I think Pirates here and there, the amount of matches these boys played, they're not used to it. It's the first time. Sundowns have been doing these type of things, 51, 52 games per season. This is the first time Pirates is going through it, and going all the way in the Champions League. It takes a lot, and it takes a big squad with depth in it. And Sundowns have got that experience. Pirates does not have the experience. And I'm saying next season, go again. The season after that, go again. Eventually, they'll catch up to Pirates. I don't know how long it will take, but I think Pirates will eventually catch up to Pirates if they up to Sundowns if they go on the path, if they're following the path that they're on now and trying to improve. Of course, losing the coach now again, who's going to be the new coach? There's a lot of uncertainty going into the new season, a new philosophy perhaps, but hopefully it's someone that comes in continuation. I think there's a way of doing this. Pirates really is really really doing well, and of course I think. But the selling issue is not the issue. I think the issue is the lack of experience. P- uh, Pirates versus Sundowns in terms of the amount of matches they've played and the level of going to reaching the Champions League semi-final. Sundowns reaches the Champions League semi-final every season almost. It's rare. It's rare that you don't see Sundowns in the semi-finals of the Champions League. Of course, they're in the final again. Opportunity to win it this weekend again, and that's where you want to put yourself. Every time you got to put yourself in there. I mean, 2013 we were in the final, and then all of a sudden we're in the semi-final 12 years later. So success doesn't work like that. Sundowns is there all the time. The consistency of them being there, and I'm glad to see that the game is shifting. Our local game is shifting into focusing a lot on those competitions. Stellenbosch also doing well in that space, and Bafana doing well in that space all of a sudden because our teams is now taking Africa serious again. And these youngsters like Rele and Nkota, them could then see the level of the Champions League. And Sundowns is showing us what is out there. When we watch Sundowns play, the youngster at home, the 10, 12-year-old at home is watching Sundowns play Champions League final. That youngster must want to be there, and it's a good thing. It didn't happen back in the day. Let's go post 2015. We were hardly in the Champions League. We hardly took it serious. There was a thing of Africa is too expensive, it's too far, there's too much this and that, the fields is not good, and everything is improving and everything has improved over time. So I think it's a good thing that we're taking this thing serious. But for Pirates to catch up to Sundowns, it's gonna cost a little bit of time and consistency to get there.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you on that one, Dane. And I know we don't have much time, but I'd just like to throw in this last one. I think one of your favorite teams, I've always watched you from that team, even when we met in the national team, the sale of SuperSport, and just the performance of the team, and what will happen, if it happens, that we no longer have a super sport. What does that say to the youngsters out there? Because when the youngsters look for academies, developments, I even get calls. Where can I join Orlando Pirates, Chiefs? Because we had that back in the day, the IX. And losing super sport, losing Verts. How does that make you feel, knowing that sooner or later we might not have a SuperSport United in the league?
Yeah, look, geez, the business side of football is what people don't see, and they don't know the behind the scenes things of running a football club. I think running a football club is in the PSL. It's a difficult thing without sponsors, etc., etc. But SuperSport has been sustainable, and they've been running through multi-choice. So there's certain elements that we don't know about business wise for this decision. Of course, emotionally, it's not a good thing because I think to lose that, you're losing a Wits that had an academy that produced players for the PSL and internationally. Similarly, that's what SuperSport has been doing. Sundowns is going to shift to Stellenbosch now because Sundowns hunting ground used to be SuperSport. So they're probably going to be shifting to Stellenbosch because Stellenbosch is the next big thing after SuperSport and Wits. No, we
No,
say it
they
as
are
a
there
joke, but
already. They
in
are there
reality,
already. They're cleaning
if I'm
Tibaka.
coaching a big team, any big team, if I'm going to go and scout for players, I know what Stellenbosch is doing over there. With developing these players. So I would go and tap in there. I knew what SuperSport is doing. I came from School of Excellence into SuperSport setup and then into the first team. Wits had a fantastic academy. The Pakamani Maslambis, the Reef Roslers, the Wade Joosters at one stage was there. There was so many talented players that came through at Wits as well, and boom, it just went away. But the business side of things, that's now the thing that we as players and coaches, we can't control the business side of things. The sponsors are needed. That's where the CEO struggles. We don't know what they're going through, and it's going to be a sad day if SuperSport does is extinguished. Because of the history of the club and what they've brought into the league, they've improved the league. They've won league titles as well. And that's just the nature of the game. Unfortunately, not a nice thing to go through, but I think I have an understanding of the business side of football because that's what I'm studying as well. So, if it doesn't make business sense anymore, no matter how we feel about it, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah, no. No, bafethu Denu uyiqedile. It does not make business sense, bafethu. The numbers are not numbering, bafethu. So,
Not-
then, Mfana, I'm gonna need you for part two, man. And for part two, I still want to talk about your coaching career, man. Such an inspiration, my guy. And I also want to talk about why Daine was not given a chance in the Bafana. Things like that. So please, guys. Please be patient and wait for the part two. I will have Munib join us and we can break down how the guys won the treble and how was it in their change room and whether they were doing Braboy, Valangapa, Vulangapa, things behind the scenes. We will be talking more about that. So I am gonna have to let Dane go, Coachy's got a lot of commitments to go and do, But Dane, from Soccerbeat, thank you so much for your time, my guy. I love to have you again here on the Mozzarella's Corner. This is the Mozzarella's Corner, my friend. Sharman,
I
the
know.
chairman himself.
Thanks, Cheesy. Always good talking, man. Chat soon.
It is, it is. So don't forget, Soccer Beat lovers, don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that button, guys. We need to get to that 50,000 mark, okay? So that I can get Dane back. And hopefully, I can get Dane to come and help us with Mark Manyambela, Munip on Talking Pirates. Because obviously, once a Parania, always a Parania. How Dane Loba from
Bye.
Soccer Beat, I'm out. Aware.
Soccer beat, what?